Hello everyone, so it is done. I finally released the video of raising a $210 account which I posted on Telegram. So make sure that you are in the Telegram group so that you would know what's currently happening. So welcome back to the channel. Today I have an exciting video where I'm going to trade this $210 account as a giveaway. So it started with 10 people investing $20 each into this joint account, and then I added my own $10 so that I can just make it 210. So we're going to try to raise this $210 account so that we can just give it as a giveaway to the 10 investors. So make sure that you're in the Telegram group because there's actually going to be a next giveaway. So make sure you stay tuned and witness the prowess and skill of raising this account and maybe benefit from investing into this joint account. So a quick reminder, if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications, and also follow us on all social media platforms. I'm going to put the links in the description box below for exclusive tips and opportunities you would not want to miss. Let's grow together. So it started with a volatility 25. So this volatility 25 is not that volatile, but however it's actually appropriate for my account size. So the first thing that we do is we draw the lines of confluence. So I drew a line that is joining all the higher lows, that is connecting from the latest lower low, and then I am drawing another line that is connecting the higher highs. So when you connect these two, you can actually see where the trend is coming from and where the trend is going. And oftentimes, as you know, that if we are trading a rising wedge like this one, we look for buys, we look for sell signals, because oftentimes it breaks to the downside rather than the upside. So, but this is just a breakout. You must always know that if you're not trading a breakout, it is actually favorable to trade a continuation that is actually a buy. But however, at this time, as you can see, the market can actually aim to reach at that point where I've put the sell limit and can actually come back down again, which is something that it always does when it is respecting the rising wedge. So at this point, I can actually sell if I'm aggressive enough, and if the market goes up to that point where I've put the sell limit, I'll actually put more positions, because I know that that's actually the point, the breaking point, where the BAs are going to be more powerful to push the market back down again. So now we can actually wait and see if the market is going to go in our respective direction. But then if you look the market in the bigger picture, it was in a downtrend. So as we all know that if it was in a downtrend, if there is no change of character, we must always favor a continuation rather than a reversal. But at this point, we are actually at a point where it might do a little bit of a breakout. But however, that's why I put the sell limit over there, that if it breaks to the upside, it means that we will be waiting for it to reach at that point. But however, as you can see, we are already in profit, and the market actually went all the way to that point, but then I was not in the market, so I could have just collected that profit and left the market. But however, it's still in profit. Just imagine how much I actually had, but I just didn't see. Anyway, that's how the game works. So I'm just gonna wait for it to reach at that point again, and then I'll exit the market. And now I've already doubled the account, which is what I've been aiming to do in most of my trades recently. I've been aiming to double the account in one trade. That actually requires a lot of holding the market, because as you can see, this is a 4-hour chart, right? And how many candles have I traded right now? More than 5, which means more than 20 hours in the trade. It requires you to be very consistent and patient. Anyway, as you can see, if the market is to break to the downside, it will respect the arrow that I've put at that point. And also it will reach at that point where I've put the shadow zone. So this is what it will do if the market is ever to break to the downside. But however, there was another pattern that was formed after some time. The market actually went back to my position to the break even, and even passed it through to a loss. But however, I was not in the market. I don't even know when that happened. But at the point, as you can see, at that point, the market formed another pattern, that is the double top, that is marked by that shadow zone that I've put over there. And then I'm now moving the take profit from that point to the next point, because right now it is now going to respect that double top. So it means it will sell for a very long time. But however, that's enough on volatility 25. I'm going to close now and look for other trades elsewhere. So now the account is in $715, which is actually a lot, but I'm going to trade again so that we can maximize this profit. I would want to at least multiply the account times 10 so that each person can actually get enough to fund their own accounts and trade on their own. So as you can see, I've visited the volatility 75. This is very volatile. You must always be very, very, very cautious when you are trading this chart, because it is very volatile. Just one wrong lot, you actually lose the whole account. But however, let's see if we can maximize. Right, so at the point, as you can see, this was a double bottom, is marked by that shadow zone that I'm drawing. And then now the market was respecting that double bottom, but it reached a point where it was facing the resistance from the previous price. That means that the market is going to do a little bit of a reversal. As you can see, there was actually a long wick that signals a rejection, so the market was rejected at that point. So if the worst case scenario that we can expect is the market coming back to that neckline where I've put the last shadow zone, that's actually a point where we can put our buy limit. But however, that's just the worst case scenario. We can actually buy at this point because the market is going to continue going up. It is going to continue forming everything that is it has already formed on the left side, on the right side. So that's basically it. You can actually use that information to buy the market, and you know, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to buy. So mind you, you must always remember that this is very volatile. It is very dangerous. But where there is risk, there is a very high reward. So let's just continue holding and see if we can maximize. So at that point, in the 1 hour time frame, as you can see, the market was rejected at that point where I've pointed by that arrow, and then it is now respecting that resistance at that point. So this is the bouncing zone where we are expecting the market to bounce, and then now after some time we are in profit, and actually our buy limit was not triggered, and we are going. Let's continue. And if the market is going to continue going up, it is going to face that resistance where I've put the shadow zone. This is where we can actually put our take profit, but that's actually the third take profit that you can use. You can choose to put a take profit nearer. That's just if you are afraid that the market will not reach at that point. So basically, trading is very difficult when sometimes it goes up. As you can see, it actually almost hit my take profit, and then now it is going down, and actually I'm losing all of the profit that I had made. But then part of being a good trader is knowing when not to exit. As you can see, at that point it actually touched my positions, which means I actually went back on break even and even made a little bit of loss, but then I did not close because I knew that the market was eventually going to go up. And if I had lost on that one, I would have just said, you know, it's actually important that I've learned. I would learn a lesson instead of losing. I would consider it a lesson rather than considering it a loss, because I know I will learn one or two things that will actually be helpful in my next trades. Anyway, I think I'm going to close the market and then look for other trades elsewhere. As you can see that buy limit, I'm now canceling it. And then now let's see if we can maximize this $1,497 account by using the jump 100 1 second. So if you can see at this point, what do you really see at that point when the market is, the chart is naked like this? You have to start by drawing all the trend lines that are important. They can actually show you where the market is going, with what the market is respecting, and the areas of confluence, the support, the resistance, and even the resistance that once became the support, and vice versa. So that's basically it. And then you can actually see the previous trades that you would have taken if you had caught the market at that point. So that's basically at that point. As you can see, there was a breakout of that falling wedge, and the market reached its TP. That's important. You must always remember that, because you have to know where the market is coming from and where the market is going. So at that point, as you can see, there was more like a double top, but that one is a wick. But you must always consider that wick, because it is a point where the market actually reached its even though it was rejected at that point. You must always know that it's a point where the price reached before. So that point where I'm putting the arrow is actually the neckline of that double top, which means the market is currently at that point. And also that wick marks the rejection point. So it means if the market is going to pass through that line, it must at least face that resistance from the previous week. And then if it is somehow pushed upwards like right now, we have to make sure that at that point, at that close on that big blue candle, is where the market is going to gain the traction of the bears pushing the market downwards again. So this is the point where it is right now. But then this trade is not that very powerful. It might actually continue going up. So I'm not going to put a lot of positions. I'm just going to make sure that I risk a little. But it's important for you that you learn this, because you might actually perfect it. And you know, being a good trader doesn't necessarily mean that you have to know everything. You just have to know what makes you profitable, and then the rest is nothing. And as you can see, as I said earlier, I wasn't really sure about this trade, and I've already lost almost half of my account. But then now we're back in profit again. So if I had not held that account, I would already have lost a lot. But then I was strong enough to hold the market until it reaches the blues. So as you can see, the reason why it actually sold at that point is because of that resistance at the top, where the market had formed the neckline. But however, it's not that important. I have already made the profit, and I don't really think this was very powerful. Of course, it might have gone my direction, but then it's not really a good trade, and so I think closing it is actually a good thing. And then now that I've closed in 2,500, I've already multiplied the account by 10, so I can actually withdraw and send each and every one of the investors their own funds. I'm sure it will be adequate enough for them to trade on their own and learn one or two things so that they can be profitable. And also another giveaway that I'm going to do is free signals for all those that create an Exness account using the link that I'm going to put. So make sure that you are ready for that giveaway again. But then for now, let's work on these investment giveaways. And then in this one, I chose to trade the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. So as you can see, I have already drawn the lines of confluence, that is the line of support and the resistance at that point. So it means the market was in more like a rising wedge, but then this one is not that steep, so it means that breakout is not going to be very powerful. But then eventually we know that there is going to be a breakout. And also at that point we can actually, you have to be prepared to execute the trade and hold it for days, because there's absolutely no reason that the market is going to sell at this point. It might actually go up again, but what we know is that eventually the market is going to go down. So what you have to do is you just have to sell, and then you leave the market and make sure that you risk very little, because the market might actually go up and stay there for some time. So you have to be prepared for that. If you want quick money, this is not a very healthy trade for you. You just have to execute the market and leave the market, as I have done right here. I didn't put a lot of positions. As you can see right now, my floating loss is something like $24, and right now, as you can see, I'm already in $259 loss, and the market is actually gone up very high. But then because I had put the less positions, it means that the market is not going to do me any harm. I might actually even close. $200 is not that much for a big account like this. And also, as you can see, it actually respected that those lines, that I might actually be another trade, another different trade anyway. Altogether, you can actually trade that one, which is actually what I'm considering right now, because I think for the market to sell, it is going to take very long. But however, I think in the next video I'm going to show you the Australian dollar, Japanese yen when it sells, because eventually this market is going to sell. This market is going to break to the downside. So make sure that you check it in your own charts. You can actually see that this is going to sell. I promise you that. Anyway, that being said, there's actually another setup that I can actually trade that might actually temporarily buy. So I think I'm going to use that one so that I can just recover that loss that I made earlier, this loss that I am in right now. So as you can see, there was more like a inverted head and shoulders by those lines that I'm just drawn. So this one is the first shoulder and the head and the right shoulder. So we must buy at this point, but then I was not even in the market. But anyway, I think our aim is that shadow zone. So I think the trade is still there. It has a very long way to go, so I can actually trade, I can actually execute the market, and I'm just gonna try to recover the loss that I've made, because I want to make sure that all the investors get at least 10 times the amount they invested. It's not much, I know, but it can actually help them to make their trading decisions, to trade on their own and try to benefit. So the first thing that I did was to close and then execute the buys. So I actually made a mistake. I shouldn't have traded this, but when you become good at this, you can actually make a few mistakes, 1 or 2, and then still bounce back from those mistakes, because you will be a professional. Anyway, I just wish that all of you guys learn to master this thing so that you can actually be profitable, and also you can actually say this guy was one of the motivators that actually led me here. Anyway, so I've executed. As you can see, the market, just as I said, the market actually bought. So the first one was actually a mistake, because it's a very, very, very long trade. You can actually trade it for weeks if you are that one person who is actually comfortable with holding a trade for that long. Anyway, I think I've recovered the loss that I made. It's actually not that bad for me to close, which is what I'm going to do right now. So I've closed, and then now I'm in 2,548. That's a lot. So I'm just going to distribute this to the respective investors, and then make sure that you are ready for the next giveaway, which is going to start, I think, just a day after releasing this video. So make sure that you are ready for it. You just create an Exness account using the link in the description box below, and be ready with your $30 fund for the next giveaway. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel, join me in the Telegram channel, and also other social media platforms that I'm going to put the updates on those giveaways. So until next time, stay tuned.